Yo, welcome back to my channel. How's it going? It's been like what, 2 days? Anywho, um, so I've come here to complain, as most people do. See, I have a problem here that I think almost everyone has. Ads. They're horrible. Not when it like comes to cause like some ad, like, how do I say this? Like Soink Scoob. With the amount of times I'd be saying like, I might as well be. And ads are usually repetitive, and it gets annoying from time to time. You know how many Corona ads will I go through before I get something different? That's just why. But also with the what's called the rise of AI, ads with AI in them have gone more up and up and up and up, and I'll probably still keep going up. That's not just the only problem, though. There's more. Because, like, ads, especially here on YouTube, are very, not kid-friendly. Like, YouTube likes to talk about, oh, well, these channels, these videos are age-restricted, right? But ads aren't. Certain videos also aren't. Like, the pandemic over here on YouTube, when it comes to, like, sus, because I can't, sus thumbnails, sus videos. Like, I'm not gonna give an example, because then I don't want, like, people to be like, or, like, curious people to be like, oh, let me, because, like, my channel here's a safe space, right? And I don't want, like, a kid to accidentally, like, watch one of my videos, see, oh, what is this? When he's talking about these type of content and not to search this up, what does he mean by that? What am I watching? What am I seeing? Because, like, if you know, you know, right? If you know, you know. That's all I'll say. If you know, you know. Because, like, I'm not willing. Because, like, curiosity killed the cat. And before you say satisfaction brought it back, yes, it brought it back traumatized from what it saw. Not the point. What I'm trying to say here is ads are, well, have always been at hand. But I'm going to be honest, no YouTube ad or YouTube video can compare to mobile ads. Because they're either one, just rage bait of, oh, -5 times 500. -5, you know? Like the ones where they fail on purpose. Or it's very, or they're ads of like, certain AI apps where you can have a conversation with a fictional character. It's very explicit. And the ads are even worse, right? It's either that, or 3, you see an ad of, like, for a card game that has like the best animation of all time, only for it to end up being a card game. And that's not my only problem with ads. I have other problems with ads that not just, well, make my problems with ads even worse. Because, like, how do I explain this? Ads here on YouTube aren't necessarily directed in a very good way. They never have been. And they probably never will be. Because, like, YouTube can do all of this, like, matrix guarding, matrix, like, systems, right? But ads here aren't very, at least from my experience, have not been like very kid friendly before the whole ID thing happened. Now I don't know if the ID thing now controls the kind of ads you do or do not have. I don't know. That I don't know. Maybe someone who doesn't want to share their ID on YouTube and someone who did share their ID with YouTube or Face or something like that can compare and contrast to see which kind of ads they get and which kind of ads they get, you know? Like, is it the same ads or not? Also, I just find it absolutely, like, insane, right? That we have to, like, be careful. Because, like, YouTube Kids does exist. Apps for children do exist. But they're, like, they still gotta add security to this one, which I guess makes sense. As someone who grew up with YouTube, it makes sense. But at the same time, you know, it kind of, like, sucks because you can't really trust YouTube with your ID or, like, with your face, right? Especially with people who want to, like, you know, want to keep their anonymity, being anonymous. That sounds like a food. Stop. Anonymous. Yeah, that's a word. And, like, I get that YouTube doesn't, like, share your ID, but I feel like not a lot of people are comfortable with that, right? Not my point. My point is ads get out of hand. They're repetitive. You know how many times I've gotten that one ad of, like, first, get in a Zooks. Second, you know, like, why? I keep getting that ad over and over and over and over. Like, I know that block ad is a feature. I'm just not willing to use it because it's like, because, like, I'm not willing to block an ad unless I don't want to see something that I just genuinely don't want to see. Like, for an example, if I get, like, a Corona ad, I'm going to block that ad immediately. Because I'm not I just don't like anything that has to do with alcohol. You don't want to know why. Anywho, how do I say this without offending I feel that when it comes to safety on a platform such as YouTube, they don't. They try their best, but their best isn't good enough, is what I'll say. Because I don't want to say it in a way that will, like, be offensive, because I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just trying to say it in a way where it's like they're trying, but at the same time, you know, there could be better outcomes and circumstances. But they're doing their best, right? At least I hope they're doing their best. At least I hope they're doing their best. Whether they are or not, I don't know. I'm just assuming that they're doing their best. And hopefully that, But, like, right, you gotta understand, when it comes to, like, the sus thumbnails and videos, right? They aren't really, like, at least from last time I checked, before, like, during the ID thing, they aren't really, like, because, like, here's the thing, right? When it comes to, like, the sus stuff here on YouTube, right? They do it in a way where it's like, where it's like, the thumbnail looks weird, right? The video is weird, but they somehow do it in such a way where it's like, it's somewhat in YouTube guidelines. Like, somewhat in line with YouTube guidelines, because they don't show things that would be non-child friendly, And that's what sucks, right? Because back in the day, right, YouTube used to be so much more worse when it came to, like, age restriction, I guess. Because back then, all you needed is a Google account and just run wild, right? That's all you really needed. Nowadays, you need a certification, man. Which I'm neutral about, kind of. Like, other than the face and, like, ID thing, and email or whatever, like, whatever stuff you need to do to, like, verify, I'm neutral about it in, like, a way where it's like, okay, I guess that makes sense, but, like, at the same time, right? YouTube should not be responsible for what kids view on this platform. While I like the fact they're taking responsibility and doing their best to, like, stop the fire from spreading, I feel like it's more on the parents to, like, keep an eye on their kids, right? And, like, make sure whatever they're watching on this platform is, like, kid friendly. Or just straight up ban YouTube. Not, like, ban YouTube and, like, stop their kids from watching YouTube entirely. Until they, like, become teenagers or something like that. Then again, I'm not the kind of person to, like, that has really good opinions, so. It's like, Because it's like either like this, right? You buy a toy for your kid that they've always wanted, right? And then you keep buying. Like, you go to a certain, like, store that sells toys. Like, I don't know, what toy store is still alive to these days? A toy store. Let's just say you go to a toy store, right? And you basically get everything your kid wants, right? They end up becoming spoiled, right? It's not necessarily the store's fault that the child grew up that way. They're just selling toys, right? It's mostly the parents' fault. It's like, if I were to, well, it's not this bad, but it's still that bad, you know? It's like if a parent, by their own volition, decided to grab their kid and take them with them to a building, right? A certain building, you know. At that point, that's the parents' fault. Again, I don't know. But my opinions are my opinions, and your opinions are your opinions. I'm not trying to force my opinions on you. I'm just giving my opinions, my like the way I think and the way I act. My point being, ads have gotten worse, gotten longer, some unskippable, repetitive. List goes on. Wildly, like, not appropriate for kids or like anything like that. Again, I don't know if like the ID thing, like, or like the age verification system, like, stops you from seeing those ads or not. I don't know. I do not know. Also, I feel like, right, that how do I say this? That YouTube prioritizes the wrong things when it comes to like age verification. Okay, for an example, right? Why? I was going back, rewatching old videos back in the day that I grew up on. There's a video, right, that is just like age restricted, right? And I don't know why. I've watched it. Again, my attention span ain't that good, so maybe I missed something. It could have been because of blood, but basically this video was age restricted, and I did not know why, right? But like, there was no blood, at least from what I could see. Maybe it was because of blood and like language, but those two things are not something you should prioritize, right? Because like, for one, it's a video game. That was a video game. Two, crude language, right? Something I've heard a lot here on YouTube is that people have had to edit their videos because they cursed in like the first 10 minutes of their like video, which apparently is a bad. Why is that a bad thing, you know? So I don't know for what reason that video was age restricted. Maybe there is reasons. I couldn't see any. Not the point. So I couldn't watch that video, right? I go back and watch another YouTuber who's like another YouTuber that kind of started watching, not like recently, but like I was a teenager when I started watching them, right? They were playing Lego Batman, the first one, for like gameplay, right? And one of the videos which was age restricted, which I'm assuming wasn't because of blood, because it's a video, because it's Lego Batman. If there's blood in Lego Batman, I've missed a game that I grew up with. I don't know how I missed that. So I'm assuming it was because of language. But like that's the thing, right? Because of language, right? But like when it comes to like videos, they have certain like kind of explicit thumbnails or explicit like, because if you know, you know, right? If you know, you know. And it's like, it sucks, right? Because it's like, you know, like I grew up on stuff like, how do I say this without giving too much away? So that people out of curiosity don't just like stumble on, like, you all remember, no, that one's just nostalgia. Y'all remember, I can't even risk naming that one. So there used to be these channels, right? How do I say this without giving too much away? So back in the olden days of YouTube, right, there used to be these channels. I think they still exist to this day, but most of them are mostly not very kid friendly. They're like known for like uploading videos of them reading. I don't know how to explain this. They were basically like comic historian, if you know who that is. Not a lot of kids will know who that is, and won't know how to spell that. So they're basically like comic historian. I think that was the YouTuber's name. I have horrible memory. They're basically like him, right? But like for fandoms, like Undertale, FNAF. We all remember Springtrap and blank. There's basically like people reading over that kind of stuff, right? They used to be called dubs. I feel like that's giving too much information. Dubs, right? Nowadays, it's gotten so much more worse. Because back then, it was like, it was more subtle, right? Like, for people who grew up with, like, Springtrap and blank, it was very subtle. You know, like, if you went in there not knowing about what you know now, I feel like not a lot of people would. Well, I guess a lot of people would still see it as weird, but maybe they would think it's more because of like stuff they've seen online and stuff like that. Not the point. What I'm trying to say is, back then it wasn't as bad as it is now. Because now, you look at a thumbnail, and then and if you're curious enough, you press on the video and well, you get an achievement called, "How did we get here?" And I find it, like, so weird, because back in the day, right, it was somewhat bad. Not fully bad, but somewhat bad, right? But I was gonna sneeze. No, it's fine. Not the point. My point being, right, I don't think most of that stuff is age restricted. I could be wrong. But even if that is the case, the thumbnail isn't. You know? And the thumbnail is enough context, right? How do I say this? I feel, right, that the longer this goes on, the worse it'll get. That could just be me. Maybe it'll get better. And that stuff eventually goes down as well. Now, the thumbnails have to be a lot more or less explicit. Channels have to stop uploading that kind of content. Right? My problem is, right, how many rules have to be put in place, and how many of those rules are going to be worthless rules? Because why are people not allowed to curse in the first 10 minutes of a video? Why is that? Like, for what purpose? Like, why? Because I can't think of any reason why. Like, I understand why, like, certain words you're not allowed to say, or, like, why you're not allowed to say, like, certain, like, phrases, or, like, certain words, or, like, anything else, really. But why are you not allowed to curse in the first 10 minutes of a video? Why? Like, what's the purpose for that? Like, does someone know why? Or is it just me who like, is it only me who's questioning this? Or, like, is everyone else? Also, I'm sorry, I use the word like a lot. There isn't a, like, there isn't a replacement word for like, and I hate it. Maybe there is. I don't know. That's not what this video is about. It's about ads and how bad they are. But yeah, no, like, ads are bad. They're getting worse, especially with, like, AI. Which, like, a lot of people will defend AI. Which, okay, that's fair. But at the same time, this looks like, okay, I understand AI can, like, make, like, oh, stuff like this. Look, it's the Mona Lisa, right? But, like, when it comes to, like, animation, ugh. Also, I feel using AI to, like, make ads is just, again, another way to rid people of a job. I don't know, that's just me. Maybe that's just me. my problem with AI is very rooted into like jobs are being taken and it's just being used in like terrible ways in which it should not be used. Like I've heard a lot of these stories about like people talking about the fact that it's kind of sad that people are using like AI for an example to keep them company. I'm not gonna necessarily talk about that. You do your own thing, all right? I do I do what I do. You do what you do. I'm not gonna sit here and judge because I've also have things to be judged on. You know, like I wouldn't say that me like judging them would make me a hypocrite. But what I am saying though is I also need to be judged. So I find that as a like, I'm like, all right, I guess. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what to do and what not to do. I'm just, here. Anyway, not the point. Not the point. Yeah, no, that's it. AI is with the AI. When did this video turn about? Sorry, ads have just gotten worse and worse, and I'm just here to complain about the fact that I've gotten way too many of them that just suck or about AI. Anywho, yeah, have it. But yeah, I'll see ya whenever I wake up from my hibernation, which may be in another like 3 weeks. I don't know. I try my best to like keep my schedule daily. And yeah, have a wonderful afternoon, day, night, morning, evening. Peace.